And if you never tried to level a pool before, I highly recommend that you go out and get a tiller. Alright, so I got this Bestway pool here. It's a 16 by 10 by 43 inch super strong steel frame Bestway pool, and I bought this used. This season there seems to be a shortage on pools and we couldn't find a new one. Even some used ones were pretty hard to find, so we were able to get this one here. I'm gonna put it together with no instructions because there is no instructions to this. Let's see how it turns out. The only thing that I am concerned about is this pump here. This pump doesn't seem to be enough for the size of this pool, but we'll see when we get into it. I just hope everything's included and it's not missing anything. The first thing I need to do is level the ground. Alright, so I got my markers up for the area I'm gonna level out. Now just looking at the backyard, it looks pretty level, but the left side is about 3 to 4 inches higher than the right side, so we're gonna have to take care of that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take some twine to make my line straight, and then I'm gonna mark it off. I'm using some old spray paint I had. It is green and a little bit harder to see on the grass, but I'm doing whatever I can to save a few bucks here. As we get into it, this project is gonna become pretty costly. Now I do have another video on how much it costs to actually set up a pool. I'm not talking about the price of the pool itself, but everything you need. Alright, so here we're not going to start digging right away. What I wanted to do is to skim all the grass and roots and get all the rocks out. On the far side of the screen, we really don't need to take off too much. So I knew going into this would be an easy 6-hour job. And it turned into 10 hours real quick. This took from Monday all the way to Saturday, working a few hours in the evening at a time. So once we got all the top layer of grass and debris out the way, I soaked it with water just to let the ground loosen up. A little tip, if you're not sure if your ground is level, you're going to want to just put your hose down and you're going to see your water either pool up or you're going to see it start going to one side or the other, so you know more or less what you have to take down. So this is day 3 of the project. So right here I'm just trying to figure out how much more we need to take down. So day 5 here, it looks like we're almost done, but I noticed that there was a huge hump in the middle, so I needed to take that down. I took a few inches off of the left side here, and I mean that's a ton of dirt there and there, just for a few inches off. I'm gonna have to skim it a little bit more to kind of level it out. We didn't want to throw sand in this area because this is pretty much the whole backyard, and if we decide to take the pool down, we're gonna have this big bare patch, so we're gonna put it without fully leveling it with sand. And if you've never tried to level a pool before, I highly recommend that you go out and get a tiller. This tiller cost me 30 bucks. I really didn't want to spend that for a one-time use, but I mean it really saves on time and it saves your back. Because if you're going to be digging just with the shovel, you're going to have a lot more pits, like peaks and valleys, because you're actually going into the dirt, and if you try to skim the dirt off, it's not going to work very well. So this way you're just tilling all the places you want to dig up. It's going to loosen up that dirt a lot, and now you can skim off what you don't want. Now obviously this is not going to work if you have a huge area that you need to level out, but here I just took off a few inches. Alright, so it looks like we got everything leveled out here. So the first thing I want to do is lay this landscape fabric. Okay, so what I'm doing here is laying down the landscape fabric. I'm not going to use any sand to level this out perfectly. What I did was I just took some of that soil that we took out and saw where there was any pits, and just kind of filled it in a little bit with the soil and went over it with the rake just to kind of get it as smooth as I could. We didn't want to put sand here. Like I said, this is pretty much all our backyard, so if we ended up putting sand to level it out perfectly, we're gonna have this huge sand patch once we take the pool out. So I definitely didn't want that, so let's see how it goes. Another reason I noticed a lot of people use sand is because that gives it that extra layer of protection of roots and rocks and things like that not poking through the pool. But from my experience here, if you skim that top layer off just like I did here, the ground is really soft. And then if you go that extra mile of putting that landscape fabric so nothing comes up through there, then a tarp on top, you're all set. So from here, I'm laying a heavy duty tarp. So as I was laying this tarp down, I noticed for some reason the measurement wasn't correct as far as where we dug up. So I had to go in with the tiller and take down another foot. Now I wasn't too sure if we were gonna actually need that extra foot, but better to be on the safe side. So here we're rolling out the pool, and in the back of my head I was just thinking, I hope this thing doesn't have a hole. I hope this thing is complete, and I hope it's not dirty. Now to my surprise, the inside was clean. It almost looked new, but it was faded because of all the chlorine that was used in the pool. So right here there was a little pit that we filled in the ground, so we filled that in with a little bit of dirt. Feeling around here just to make sure there's nothing else. So setting this thing up without instructions was surprisingly easy. There were a few elbow brackets that took us a minute to figure out, but once we got that, the pool went together no problem. Alright, so I got these pavers here. I'm gonna put 2 pavers to each footing here. And what I'm gonna do is have to dig into the ground to make it level. And on these feet here, I'm gonna try to see if I can break these pavers so I don't have a whole paver that I have to dig up. Maybe half a paver, level it out. See how I do that. So right here I'm trying to break this paver into 4 pieces. For the smaller legs, I wanted to use some smaller pieces of paver so I wouldn't have to dig that much into the ground for these and make it a little bit easier. But they really didn't want to break. But once I got that hammer out, they broke into 4 pieces really easily. Pavers are die hard. Get it the second time. Ooh. So these pavers here, you have to be pretty accurate with them. You don't want to put them above ground and you don't want to dig too far down because that can throw your pool out of level. So all the work you do trying to level the ground can be for nothing if you don't do this right. So right here at the home stretch, we almost cheated because we had done so much work already. I said, you know what if you put these pavers above ground and just leave them like that? What could it really hurt? But then I thought about it and said, you know what, we came this far, let's do it right. Alright, so I got all these level into the ground. Gotta clear all these leaves out and get this started. So it's 8 o'clock, I'm just about to start filling the pool. See how long it takes. Made a huge mess out here trying to get this pool up. Alright, so there it is, all filled up. It's not filled all the way up, but it took about 5.5 hours to get it filled to where it's at now. Sitting on the pavers there, pretty nice. So we know it's not gonna sink or move. Got the level here. It's a little unlevel here, but we can live with that. It's about 1/2 inch off. Not too bad. You can see this end here. This is where it would dip. This is the left side here. So I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It's about 1 inch off level on the left side of the pool versus the right side. But if we were to throw the pool up as is without leveling the ground, it would have been like 5-6 inches off. This is the first year we set the pool up, and it's going to be a lot easier setting it up next year. So I did some research and figured out how to keep this pool crystal clear with no chlorine. So be sure and check out that video. And if you found this video helpful or just like the content, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to check out all my other videos on pool related tips, tricks, and hacks. Be sure to check out the links in my description for items I use in this video, along with other cool pool supplies on sale right now from Amazon. Thanks for watching Pool Time, and check you on the next one.